Tonight, Lance Armstrong says America will soon forgive him, just like they forgave Bill Clinton. Plus, I'll talk with Good Morning America's weather anchor, the dashing Sam Champion. And Shelley Wright made headlines for being the first country star to come out as gay. And now she's about to have twins. She'll tell me all about it tonight on Say Anything. Good evening. I'm Howard Bragman, filling in for Joy Behar. My first guest is the weather anchor of ABC's Good Morning America. Please welcome my friend and colleague, Sam Champion.
How are you, Howard? It's nice to see you.
Nice to have you here. So you're a newlywed.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's not so newly anymore because it was December, and we did a ceremony in New York to make it legal. And then we did a party in Miami for all of our friends because you know us well. We spend our time back and forth between the two places. So we wanted to be able to do it legally and also celebrate with the people that we have great love and affection.
Right, and I was at the one in New York, and
Yep.
it was really, tell me about that. It was very intimate. It was a beautiful little moment.
It was not, I will say, it is not what I expected it to be. I mean, I expected it to be kind of look, we'll do this quickly. We have a wonderful judge who's going to come up to the apartment. We have a few very close friends who are going to come over, and we'll just do this legally. I didn't think I was going to get emotional, and as soon as we started, it became this wonderful, emotional thing. I think everybody in the room felt very much a part of it, and I mean, you were there. It was this great group of people that we love, and I felt it was such an important moment for us.
And it was also kind of high tech because your in-laws to be were connected by Skype, as I remember.
That's right, because Ruben's family, at that point, they were coming for the Miami party, but they hadn't been to the States. His mom had not been to the States. And so we had them on Skype, and the entire family was there, and my family was in New York, so it really felt like we had everybody together.
So how did you and Ruben meet? Tell people about this.
Oh, wow, really? All right.
Yeah,
so
really. Whatever story you want to make up is fine.
No, I'll stick with the same one. We had mutual friends, of course, in Miami, and at a New Year's party, he had been invited to the New Year's party, and I had been invited to the New Year's party. We had never met, and that's where we met. I walked into the party and saw him there. And
ka-ching, ka-ching, there was love.
Yeah, you know, I've never talked about this on television, by the way. I've never done that. Yeah, I would say that kind of right away. I mean, immediately upon, I thought, oh, look, there's someone attractive. But immediately in talking to him, I felt this is someone who has an incredible amount of interest and passion in the world about just one of the best people I know. And that comes through when you talk to him. You've talked to him. Come on, what do you think? What do you think of Ruben?
He's incredibly passionate, and he's an incredible artist, as we know.
Yeah.
And I think it's very complimentary. And, what I think was one of the funniest after he met you, tell the story about.
Which one? Please don't tell all the stories on the, really? Please don't.
As I recall, he sort of didn't know who you were, right?
That's right. There were weeks. Well, he doesn't. Most of his friends were speaking Spanish, or in Miami, it's totally possible to live and operate in Miami on a regular daily basis and not speak very much English at all. It's a city that is multicultural, and in many ways, people from all over the world come, and a lot of them are Latin American, a lot of them will speak Spanish, and can navigate the city very well that way. And then there's an awful lot of English-speaking folks who get to blend in and mix in. So he didn't pay attention to American television very much, and the funny part of it. I'll tell the funny part of the story. I had just gotten off doing.
Yeah, not the boring part. Come on.
No, not the boring part. So we had just gotten off doing a launch of one of the Disney cruise ships. So I was walking in with a lot of friends, and they were all asking me, how was the cruise? How was the cruise? And I'm like, the ship's great. It's really wonderful. We had a great time. We went we did a thing, and we talked about it. So he heard me talking about a cruise ship the entire time with all of my friends.
He thought you were a purser?
He thought I worked for the cruise line. He really did. And so he I guess it was,
could see you as the social director, though. I mean,
I'd be I very happily would grab a clipboard and organize your day for you. I really would. I think it'd be a fun job. But so it was several weeks afterwards, and something was online. Someone had posted something on Facebook online about one of our shows. And he said, there was something on Facebook about you being on television. Can I ask you why? And I said, well, that's kind of what I do. And he said, oh, I thought you worked for the cruise ship. And I didn't understand why. And then we had to go back and recount the whole stories about it. And it made total sense because that's all we were talking about that night.
A free Disney cruise is a free Disney cruise.
Listen,
Let's not
I'll
be
take
silly about
anytime
this.
Disney wants to put out a new ship, I'll go. They do a good job.
So I was there, I believe it was September, and our friend Thomas Roberts from MSNBC was marrying his partner Patrick.
Right.
And you and I had been talking sort of off the record about how we're going to break your wedding and what the best way to do this is. And you remember what happened that night?
No, do you want to tell it? Apparently you want to tell it, so go ahead. And I mean,
I want to defer.
We were all there at Thomas's, which, by the way, was kind of this amazingly beautiful evening that only the two of them could put together. It was elegant and it was beautiful and very New York and had the skyline in the background and everyone was dressed up. It was a really, really beautiful event. And in the course of the night, we were all kind of dancing around, you know, as people do at the end of a wedding. And I remember that we had maybe been celebrating the wedding. Maybe there were a couple of libations, adult beverages.
Yeah, well, you're supposed to. It's rude not to.
I would think it would be rude not to celebrate the wedding. You're exactly right. So in our efforts not to be rude, maybe we did. And at some point, someone was walking around and said, you know, we're talking to couples who are together tonight. Are you together? And I said, yeah, you know, we're a couple. And are you going to get married? And we immediately just kind of went, yeah, we are. And I remember you and I talked about it, and I'm kind of like, you know, I hope it's okay. I mean, I hope it's one of those things that's okay. And that's just kind of.
I think it was kind of more than okay, and it ended up in the New York Times, but it was in the Sunday New York Times. But the New York Times got so excited they put it out on Friday. An amazing response, wasn't it?
You and I have talked about this over the years, and I think you had thought at one point or another it was important for me to talk about my personal life, and I remember having these conversations with you, and I thought, well, you know, I've been out there a long time. I mean, I was my private life was put out, I think it was the late 80s or early 90s. And I never felt like it was important to go back and revisit that. I just kind of always moved forward, and whoever I was dating at the time came with me to events, and I didn't really feel like I wanted to talk more about it than that. I think it's one of the most difficult things in the world is to be on television every day and then also try to have your private life very public. And to me, I thought the two should be separated because I just didn't want to make it a big deal. I wanted to handle my private life, and I wanted to.
But it was kind of a big deal, wasn't it? Really? I mean, it was all over pretty much every news organization, People magazine. Everybody kind of picked this story up in a big way.
I will say that I was pleased and touched. I think we both were. Ruben and I talked about it during the time and afterwards. The response that people gave us.
And what was the response?
It was very supportive. I mean, it's not anything. I didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know it was going to get the pickup. We didn't know it was going to get the pickup that it did. But I thought most people in America were very, very kind. The majority of the response was hugely positive and very kind.
All right, so now that you're out, you and your colleagues, Lara Spencer and Josh Elliott, are the hosts of the GLAAD Awards that are in New York this weekend. You know, what's going on there? That's something you might not have done a year ago, right?
No, I definitely would have done it. I mean, I just think that I wouldn't have talked about my life. You know, I think I supported a number of causes and a number of gay causes. I mean, I've always been very vocal about supporting a lot of organizations, and particularly gay ones, but I just never really wanted to go into depth and into detail about my personal life.
And other than you guys being the host, the big event is Anderson Cooper being presented a big GLAAD award by Madonna.
Yeah.
You said Anderson was quite an inspiration for you.
Anytime anyone who is in the public eye makes that step, it makes it easier. And I understand this now. I don't think I did understand it well before. But anytime anyone does that, it makes it easier for someone else to say it. It makes it easier for them to say to their coworkers. It makes it easier for them to say to their employers, this is my life. I'm proud of who I am.
Great. More with Sam Champion in just a minute when we come back.
Using their GPS tags, rescuers tracked the mother and calf after their return and are happy to report they made it back into the open waters. Now, because of the men and women who dedicate their lives to rescuing animals, these dolphins and many others like them will get to make that trip back home.
That was a clip from Sea Rescue, hosted by my guest, Sam Champion. Hey. And Sea Rescue is really two of your favorite things, right? Going to Florida and wearing neoprene.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I never knew that I would get an opportunity to do something like this, but as a kid, those were my favorite shows. I grew up in the time that there was Flipper, that there were all these great Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom. I grew up during all those shows, and I always wanted to be the guy who, you know, lived on the beach and took care of the sea animals. I wanted to, if I hadn't actually gotten a job in television, I would love to have worked with manatees. I just think they're the most wonderful things on the planet, and because they're so gentle, they're always like run over, beaten, and abused. So, you know, those are the things that I loved, but I never thought I'd get a chance to do a show like this, and the opportunity came where there's this wonderful team that works around the clock, and these are incredible, dedicated people who are ready to respond. If you get a call, like you hear about a dolphin, a bullied dolphin that's in the mouth of an inlet someplace in California and can't get out, maybe it's caught in traps or something like that and can't get out. Who takes care of that? We do those stories on the news, and we say, hey, look, that dolphin's stuck there. But who actually goes, gets it, carries the burden and expense of taking care of it, making sure it's okay, and if it can be returned to the wild, get it back out there.
And more important, young people are watching, and they're learning about the environment, and I think that's huge.
I hope so. I mean, you know, how do you fall in love with the things that are in our planet if you don't see them? And I hope this gives people the same thing it did for me when I watched those shows.
I don't think you can be a weatherman without understanding the environment and environmental changes. Now, I look at the weather and I say, boy, the weather is weird. It's never been like this before.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to be saying it. Is there truth to that statistically? Is the weather more unusual than it's been over the years?
Here's the truth about this is that, you know, we only have weather records for, you know, 200 years on the planet. So there'll be a lot of people who say we don't know. And I would say that, guess what? We do need a whole lot more study about the planet. And I wish we had a lot more people in a concentrated effort in concert to get this figured out. But here's what I do know. I've been doing weather for 30 years. If we're in an unusual cycle, we're in an unusual cycle, and we need to teach people how to handle that. There are more storms, there are more violent storms in my experience than the years before that I had covered. They come more rapidly, they come back to back, and there's a lot more. We're on the road a lot more, I'll tell you that, than we were 10 years ago covering these events.
So you think pepple smoke is bad for the weather, Sam?
I'm not sure, but what I would say is that, you know, let's not worry about what we call it. Let's worry about how to keep people safe. Let's worry about telling people how to live safely in a shoreline community or in an area that may flood or in an area that gets natural disasters. Let's teach people how to survive.
Are people blaming you for bad weather? Do they love to blame the weatherman?
I find that people are very sophisticated in their weather knowledge right now. They're smart viewers. They don't blame you for things because they understand things now. They choose who they want to get the truth from, or they choose who they want to get the information from, and they turn there to get it.
You know, going back to your weddings, I remember the most emotional moment being when our colleague and friend Robin Roberts, who's been recovering from a major health issue, read a beautiful poem.
Yeah.
How'd that feel for you?
First of all, to have her well enough to be there, because this is, you know, this was a very small group of people that are hugely important to us, and to have her To have her well enough to be there was incredible for everybody in the room, and I don't think it would have been nearly as special in many ways if everyone there hadn't been able to be there.
You know, what we see in the mornings of the closeness of the team and your bromance with Josh and the feelings for Robin, these are real. I mean, I know it and you know it. These are genuinely people you love, aren't they?
It's so funny. Television is this thing where everyone thinks that because scripts are written or because something is created that everything needs to be manufactured and everything is and has to be copied. You know, sometimes you just put people together and they catch on fire and they like to be with each other on camera and off camera, and they love each other's personality and they want to share with each other their lives, and when you capture it, it's amazing. And that's what we have on the show. We're people who just like being together, and we get to be paid to be together in the morning, and then even when we're not being paid, we're usually together afterwards.
So I look at it and it's quite a team. Was there any way that they mixed these people, or it just happened? They threw these ingredients and the soup tasted delicious?
Listen, this is where, and rarely do I have praise for the executive types in the business, but here's where I do, because somehow they knew that this was the right combination of people. And I had not met Josh before he came to the show. I knew Lara. We had worked together at Channel 7 long before, this. And of course, I'd known Robin and was currently working with George. But when these people came together, it just happened. It just gelled. I don't know how they knew, but it worked.
So I want to address some rumors, Sam.
Oh, wow, here we go.
They just announced the cast for Dancing with the Stars.
No.
That's starting next week.
No.
But there's been a lot of rumors about you. Would you ever consider it?
I don't know why. I think because I enjoy the show so much, and we have a Twitter party every Monday night. And if you want to get in on it, tweet us. Robin's in on it. I'm in at it. We're just tweeting throughout the broadcast. And of course, they're showing pictures with me and Cheryl. And she's one of those people now that I absolutely adore.
And how would you do if you did compete?
We're not even gonna go there. No, I'm not gonna do it. I could never do it.
Well, we look forward to it. Thank you, Sam. Catch Sea Rescue Saturdays at ABC. Check your local listings. And next up, my Fame Stream Media panel. In case you're just waking up from a 24-hour coma, we now have a new Pope. Joining me to discuss this and all things Pope and pop culture are our guests, Bonnie Fuller, President and Editor-in-Chief of HollywoodLife.com, Jackie Reed, co-host of NBC's New York Live, and comedian Dina Blizzard. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I know. New Pope.
So, while the Pope was on the balcony waving to the masses, the world was tweeting. And when you wave, it's always polish the bowling ball, polish the bowling ball. Let me tell you some of the favorite tweets I've seen from the Pope. The Pope looks stunning in white. I want to know more about the Pope's wild days back in Buenos Aires. And my favorite, there's the new Pope in his gold Christian Dior cape, Vera Wang gown, red Prada shoes, lamenting gay marriage. What is going on? Is it too soon to make fun of the new Pope?
No, absolutely not. No. And speaking of being on the balcony, my favorite was Joan Rivers, where she said, wait, I thought he was going to launch into a song of Don't Forget Me. Wait,
Don't cry for me,
Argentina. Yeah, Evita, the Pope.
No, my favorite was somebody tweeted awkward. He forgot to thank Harvey Weinstein in his acceptance speech.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was great.
Because I have kids, my favorite, somebody had tweeted, "Who let the Pope out?" Right. That's my favorite one.
Those Argentinians love a good balcony. Thoughts about the new Pope? Is this a good guy, a bad guy? Are we going to be happy? What's going on?
Well, I hear he's very traditional, very conservative, very against abortion, very against gay marriage. So doesn't sound like he's going to be a revolutionary Pope.
But isn't that what we expected? I mean, could we have expected anything else, Jackie?
Well, I think a lot of people were hoping that the church would, you know, look at all
Hey, you
the
would go, I
problems.
want you to meet my boyfriend, Bruno. What?
Maybe someone younger, a little hipper, a little more progressive, just a little more progressive.
did tweet.
Yeah, did he?
Yes.
He
Oh,
did.
I'm excited
That's
about
cool.
that.
Yes.
If I can follow him on
Listen.
Twitter, then I'm excited.
The guy's only got one lung. I don't expect him to last that long. This Pope, really.
That's going to happen to you for that
He
one.
looks
huh?
really uncomfortable with it when people were kissing his ring. He kept trying to shake their hands, and even that moment on the balcony when he first came out, he just seemed like overwhelmed by it all. Like, what did I
But
just
there's
get
no
into?
look for it. It's
All
not
right,
like
so-
Miss America. Like, what do? You're like, okay, you can kiss this. I don't
Kiss
know what
my
you're
ring.
supposed to
All
do.
right, so who's the new Pope remind you of? How about Jeffrey Tambor? Look at this picture.
Yes,
Oh,
he does look
yeah.
like him. And I also saw a really funny put together of the Pope and Kim Kardashian because she was wearing that white flying nun outfit the other day.
No,
That's another
he just
man
needs
she
to go
could
around
ruin.
saying, "Hey now."
I did hear Jim Carrey on Good Morning America talking about there's that seagull that spent the whole time on top of the smokestack, and he said, I can't imagine the publicity that seagull's getting. He said, Kim Kardashian, next time there's a new Pope's going to be perched up there, and I think that's true.
That seagull needs an agent.
Yeah, he probably has
I
a
think
Twitter
he's already
account now.
signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably has a Twitter
So
account.
last night on MSNBC, a gentleman named Scott Prouty, the bartender, came out as the man who made Mitt Romney's 47% video. Let's watch.
I don't think he has any clue what a regular American goes through on a daily basis. That guy has no idea, and I don't think he'll ever have an idea.
So you've got this tape, and you go home, and you know what you've got, but you really don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it was that 2-week period, and I lost sleep, and I waited, and I just thought, what am I going to, I knew it could be an absolute mess. I just knew that it could throw my life into absolute turmoil. I'd lose my job.
So what I heard was this guy was really upset because Romney didn't say hello to the staff, just the big donors. You think that was part of the reason, Dina?
Well, I think that what he said, it makes a lot of sense that, as a bartender in a room full of these people, that if you hear that, you're like, why aren't you saying that to everybody? Let people know how you really feel. And it sounds like he really lamented it for a while before he decided, you know what, let people decide. If this is how you really feel in a room full of a bunch of rich people, how does it feel when you say it in front of people who can't pay their rent or pay their mortgage? I think it was a great decision.
And I love the fact that he said, this guy, that, Bill Clinton, he was in a similar room with Bill Clinton, and Bill Clinton spoke to everybody, spoke to the staff, was in the kitchen signing autographs, and he said, Mitt Romney didn't do that, and so that made him want to release it even more.
Well, I thought it was fantastic that he said that these people paid $50,000 to have dinner with Mitt Romney, and he didn't think it was fair if you can't afford $50,000 to not be able to hear what Mitt Romney really believes about things.
So next time, he's just going to make him a crappy martini. So our next story, in an interview in Texas Monthly, Lance Armstrong says he thinks people will forgive him for cheating the same way they forgave Bill Clinton. You think Lance Armstrong's got balls to say, or ball to say this?
No.
He has no shame, does he? I mean, he didn't cry on Oprah. Everybody wanted him to cry, and he thinks people have.
He did cry in the second segment, which nobody watched. He didn't cry in the first segment.
And he seemed to get a little defensive on Oprah at times.
Yes.
I mean, to me, even if he felt this way, why do you say it? Who is his PR person? Why would you actually say,
Out loud.
people forgave Bill Clinton, they're going to forgive me
Yeah.
too? Just shut up.
I could not agree more, because I really think that, an apology does not mean I'm 100% wrong and you're 100% right. It means I'm 100% committed to moving forward. And I thought his interview, he was about 60, 70% there, and you don't equivocate. And I would have liked to prep this guy for the interview, because whoever did
He needed you.
he should have cried early on. I agree. He should have cried in the first segment.
First 30 minutes.
Yeah, first 15 seconds. Get it out of the way.
Can he move beyond this?
Well, he's going to have to do a lot of good. I think that he's got to. Don't you think he's got to come out? I mean, talk about live strong. Like he's got to come out for
He's
charity.
been kicked off. He's been kicked off as CEO of Live Strong.
I know, but I think he still needs to work for them or to take up another charity, raise money, like
I don't
do
think
good.
people care anymore, though. I just think he's arrogant about the whole thing. I don't think he comes across as being sorrowful about any of it. And then he says stuff like this, and you're just like, really, Lance? Like, a little humility would probably go a long way. It's not believable.
I think he's praying that more lawsuits don't come out because I think there are a lot of people who said he continued to lie during the Oprah interview.
I just don't know how he can rebound from this if this is his attitude, like you said. I just don't see it.
I do think he has done good, and I do think people will forgive him on one level. But there are people who are extraordinarily hurt by what he did. And to me, the biggest thing was how he treated the little people. Yeah. You know, the wife of the guy who accused him.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
and also his children. I mean, think about his children.
He's going to have to live with that the rest of his life.
But
That's
he
the
talked
hardest
in the
part.
interview about how it would be hard on his kids.
It's true. More with my Fame Street Media panel. We'll be back in just a minute. According to a deposition in the Kris Humphries-Kim Kardashian divorce case, it appears that some scenes on the reality show Keeping Up with the Kardashians are not real. Oh my God! There's gambling here.
I can't believe it. No,
Wait, is there anybody in America? Is there anybody in America who's stupid enough to believe that reality show is reality?
People who believe wrestling is real.
The people that believe Lance Armstrong. The people that are the same guys that believe that the Kardashians
You know what?
are real.
A lot of people think they're real. They absolutely do, and they are shocked. They will be really surprised. They believe that all of this happens. I'm telling you this because we're in the media world, but when you go out and, I mean, I go on vacation, I get away from New York.
You get a vacation? That's great.
Once in a while.
We're jealous.
Yes. People really do say, are those reality shows real? Like, that's a very commonly asked question. And so I think people will be really upset to hear that the proposal was filmed twice and that the scene in Dubai where she's complaining about her marriage was filmed after she filed for divorce. I think they really will be upset by that.
But the person, if anybody, there's some people who may think it's real, but somebody who should have known that it's not real is Chris.
Yeah.
This man was in there. This should not be a revelation for him.
You think they discussed that in his Mensa meetings? What? How does this guy know it's real?
How are you in that environment and you don't know what's going around you? It's not real.
Well, he obviously knew that when Kim was in the hotel and he was filming a scene about supposedly having a party he wasn't supposed to have, he knew that wasn't real.
But I'm saying even before he popped the question, even hanging around her and being a part of that show when they were dating, how did you not get a clue that this is not real?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he would just even be in the show. I mean, you're like, hello.
So who's
did you
winning?
know?
Chris or Kim?
Oh, he's totally going to win. I mean, it's not. I don't know why we needed a deposition to say, oh, it's not real. Like, I mean, that's just common sense.
I mean, legally, it's not fraud. I mean, he's trying to prove the marriage was fraudulent.
Well, somebody had said that one of the producers had come out and said she used
reality
a crying
isn't
stick, and
real.
it was just ridiculous.
Let me move on here. You may have seen Jada Pinkett Smith is defending Justin Bieber. It's shocking since her son's on tour with him, and other young stars for what she calls, quote unquote, bullying by the media. Let me read what she posted on Facebook. Are we bullying our young artist? Do we feel as though we can say and do what we please without demonstrating any responsibility simply because they are famous? Is it okay to continually attack and criticize a famous 19-year-old who is simply trying to build a life, exercise his talents while figuring out what manhood and fame is all about?
The answer is yes. Yes, of course we can make fun of him. That's the whole point. I mean, that's kind of what you trade in when you say, I'm going to be famous and I get a lot of money. And then we go, okay, we're going to talk about you. That's what it is. But I just want to say I'm afraid of Jada. And, I do.
Oh, she could kick your ass.
That's what I'm saying. She could have me killed for just saying
No, she could do it herself, okay?
She would have me killed, and I know that. But I just think
she's like Sheena. She carries a knife in her purse.
It's very
going to be
scary.
bad.
But so I just think that it's a little ridiculous. I mean, is it now just because her son is now on the tour? Like, that's what people are going to
more
do.
Bieber news. Actress Olivia Wilde got more than 17,000 pieces of hate mail from angry Justin Bieber fans after she posted this tweet. Quote, Bieber, put your bleeping shirt on, unless you lost all your shirts in a fire, in which case my condolences. Please purchase a new shirt. Here's Olivia on The Tonight Show describing the hate tweets she received.
This is what's great about Twitter. One of them was, are you a lesbian or are you too old?
Wow.
And it's great because it's a question I had never asked myself before.
Right. Yeah.
And I was wondering, am I too old to be a lesbian?
Yeah.
Because I did just have a birthday, so I may have missed my window.
Yeah.
Bitch, that's me.
Right.
Bitch, you're not his mother. Which, judging from the lack of hair on his chest in that photo, I'm assuming I'm too old to be his mother.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my God.
Well, she actually could say she was cyberbullied because she apparently had 17,000 nasty tweets. That is scary.
What does Jada have to say about that?
Yeah,
because
Jada.
that's bullying.
You know what? Anything that happens we don't like, we claim bullying now. That seems to be
overused.
society's defense
It's
now for
overused.
But
everything.
I love how Olivia dealt with it. You know, she was just like, put your shirt on, and then it was this beep out on her, and she just made fun of it. It was the best way to deal with
And
it.
the thing is, listen, Justin has to realize, I mean, he's got 35 million Twitter followers. He's famous. If you go walking around London in a gas mask, people are going to talk.
Yeah.
It's true. He's got
Jada has a
crazy
point.
devoted
But
fans.
you know what? It's not even that. If anybody did that, that would be weird.
That's true. People would talk. If you want to
Thank
wear
you,
a gas
ladies.
mask.
Check out Dina's website at onefunnymother.com. Next up, country star and gay activist Shelley Wright. My next guest is a country music star who courageously came out of the closet in 2010. She documented her journey in the award-winning film Wish Me Away. In one scene, a particularly handsome fellow is prepping her to come out by grilling her with questions she may get from the media. Let's watch.
You acknowledge in the book being intimate and sexual with guys. So are you really bisexual and not gay?
No, I'm not bisexual.
How do you explain your relationship with these guys?
I was living a lie.
Please welcome my friend, Shelley Wright.
Hi, Howard. It's good to be with you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
You can handle my media training, you can handle this.
I can. This is easy breezy. We got it.
First off, a few weeks ago, we announced that you had a special arrival. You're what?
I'm pregnant with twins.
Twins.
Can you believe it?
And, you know, like a lot of expectant mothers, you have cravings. So, in case you got a little nosh, you know, it's my Jewish mother.
How did you know this is my craving?
You know, I checked with Lauren. I'm ahead of this thing.
Is it rude for me to go ahead and eat during the interview?
No, I think it's great.
Okay.
You know, do you need ketchup? Are we okay?
That's fine. They're great.
You're a country girl. You love the fried foods.
I love it. I do love French fries. I've gained 30 pounds, and most of it is French fries.
30 pounds? And you,
30
yeah.
pounds. Can
I
you
know
see
you
my
hate
bum?
that. You're like that size 0. You
Let me
hate
see.
that.
I'm trying to get the. Don't want
You
to.
can stand up and show your belly bump if you want. Come on.
I mean, I'm excited about it. Can you
Turn
see
to
it?
the side. Let's give him a good angle.
Look at that.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and most of it, it's French fries and some Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay,
But
so
who's
these
keeping track?
They are going to be Southern kids, aren't
Yeah,
they?
right.
How are you feeling? Good? Is it
I feel
pregnancy
great.
going well?
I'm feeling great. The first trimester was a typical first trimester.
Sucky.
A little tired, a little sick to my stomach, but I feel great now.
Great. Before we get into the interview, let's talk about current events. We have a new pope. Did you watch the proceedings?
I was glued to the television. I think it's, I remember in 2005 watching Pope Benedict and the news breaking about his becoming pope. And I love tradition and ceremony. I'm not Catholic, but I love a lot of Catholic people. But I like faith. And I like, yesterday was an exciting day for a lot of Catholics.
How was it for you?
For me, you know, largely it's ceremonial and it's news, and God knows I love news. You know, I was watching my friends on Facebook, my Catholic friends, talking about the excitement of a new pope, and that this man has really shown a lifetime of humility and serving the poor. And they were really excited about it. But last night I was prayerful about my young Catholic friends who are LGBT and how they clearly understand that this pope has a message that gay marriage is not cool and it shouldn't be cool. And
I would have guessed that anyone who is going to be pope probably had the same message, though.
That's true, but it was illuminated again yesterday. It was a big part of the news, and I think a lot of Catholics had, rightfully so, a lot of hope. And I think a lot of people also had some hopelessness, and that breaks my heart. But I prayed for the Pope, and I wish him well, and I wish all of the Catholics a great new chapter in their belief.
Going back to this weekend, the GLAAD Awards are this weekend in New York.
Yeah, are you going?
I'm not going to be able to stay, but your documentary, Wish Me Away, is nominated. You'll be there, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
That was quite a journey, Wish Me Away. How does it feel? Is this sort of the culmination? You're out, you're married, you're pregnant, you're nominated for a GLAAD Award.
It feels it's still surreal, Howard. I mean, you've been with me on the journey for many years now, and I guess I anticipated that at this point I wouldn't be talking about Wish Me Away, but just in the town car on the way over, my manager Russell sent me a beautiful email that someone had sent him about how watching Wish Me Away was like watching their life. And my words back to Russell were, I continue to marvel at the impact that this film has had. And you were such a big part of it, and you were such a big part of my coming out team and making sure that my story was told well. And Bobby and Beverly told the story well.
The moment I remember the most was you and I started working together probably 2 years before you were actually coming out, because we tied it to a book and an album. And I remember you called me up one day and you were on the verge of tears and you said, I can't wait. I got to start living my life. I can't hide from the public. I want to go meet people. You remember that day?
I do. I think that was one of many phone calls that I made to you almost in tears. You know, doing it the way that we did it, which I have absolutely no regret about, the very, some might say orchestrated, and I'd say that would be right. It was very orchestrated to come out with the book and the story and the film. But it was hard for me. It was hard from 2007 when I made the decision I'm going to come out of the closet and tell the world and tell everyone that I'm gay. Waiting 3 more years to make sure my story was told effectively and well was kind of torture in some ways.
Kind of limbo in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was very isolated and lonely.
I remember you called me again near tears. There were some good tears, though. Yeah. After all the national news had broken, and you had got a call from somebody in your hometown about some kids in the high school. I love that story. You remember that?
Yeah, I think we were in Chicago doing Oprah. Is when I found out, and you were there with me.
Let's drop names. That's great. We were doing Oprah.
I know. Well, yeah. Well, I didn't mean to drop names, but I think that's where I was when I found out. It was like 10 days.
It's a good one to drop. Come on.
After I came out, I was informed that from someone who works within the school system of where I grew up, that on the day that I came out, a few students in the area went to their guidance counselors and came out themselves. They felt so empowered and so safe for a second to speak their truth and to say, hey, Shelley Wright, Kansas girl, I'm like her, she's like me, and it's pretty humbling.
And even better, as I recall, the school system said, we're there, you're safe, you're protected.
Yeah, and I think
And this is a small town in Kansas.
Yeah, and you know, I'm proud of my hometown, Wellsville, Kansas. We're a tight-knit community, and you know, we're not the Wellsville, Kansas of 1975. You know, we're getting there, like most small towns are getting there. But I think it takes a moment, the impetus for an educator to be able to understand that there are kids like that, kids like me, who need a hand up, and if they don't say it, if the kid doesn't go to a teacher or an educator, which is why I love working with GLSEN, the Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, which helps educators identify a safe space, a safe classroom. You know, I think a lot of teachers really are inclined to help, but they're not empowered. And so GLSEN empowers, and stories like mine.
And you told me that day of that story, whatever else happens, it's all worthwhile, wasn't it?
And it was. And it was.
More with Shelley Wright in just a minute. we're back with Shelley Wright. So, you were born and raised in a small town in Kansas.
Yeah.
And a couple years ago, you started a foundation, the Like Me Foundation, which is the title of your amazing book.
Thank you.
You know, most foundations and organizations for gay people are found in New York, LA, San Francisco. Why was it important that you do something in Kansas?
You know, Howard, I was, right after I came out, I was feeling very empowered and emboldened myself and free. And I wanted to do more and more and more. And I was very thoughtful about who I am as a person. Yes, I have spent over 20 years in Nashville making country music, and now I live in New York. But at the heart of who I am is a girl who grew up on a farm in Kansas. And I knew that if we could do something there, then we could really make a big impact. And there wasn't an LGBT center there in Kansas City, and we decided.
And there were plenty of LGBT kids there.
Plenty of kids and older people too. There's a really robust LGBT community in Kansas City, but we thought that they needed a place to kind of lock arms and a place to call home. So we, with your help, you're on the board, thank you very much, we pulled our resources together nationwide to put these monies and this effort and these resources into the Like Me Lighthouse. Just celebrated our 1-year anniversary.
And what happens at the lighthouse? We're seeing a picture of the building. What happens in that building?
You know, you walk through the door and you're in a place where you know that it's okay to be you. We have resources for outreach, for counseling, and community groups, PFLAG, all the different groups that one might need and maybe not even know they need. You know, I Skyped in for the birthday party on Saturday, and there was a young man, I won't say his name because I'm not sure I can pronounce it correctly, but he said, I'm 17, I come here every day, I've started volunteering, and he said, I've never been in a place where I feel like I can be me, and he said, I'm involved in all kind of community programs now that I never even knew existed. And you gotta, you know, if you build it, they will come, and they have.
So your beautiful wife, Lauren, you got married a couple years ago. So when you married Lauren, she was a gay activist and you were a musician. Now Lauren's in the music industry and you're a gay activist. What's going on here?
I know. And I did not get her into the music business, by the way. She is the director of marketing at Sony Entertainment here in New York City. And, you know, she used to be at Glisten. That's where we met.
Well, we're seeing these beautiful pictures of your wedding day.
Pretty?
You know, a lot of young women who are lesbian don't have the ability to dream about their special day. Was that something you'd always dreamed about or something that just came together?
You know, Howard, I never dreamed about a wedding because I knew that it wouldn't be, I knew I wouldn't marry a man. I knew I wouldn't do that to him or to me. And I never imagined I would get to marry a woman.
Well, I will tell you that it was one of the most beautiful weddings I've ever been to, even for girls who plan their whole life, so you did well.
Thank you.
A couple months ago on my YouTube show, Gwishues, I got you to kind of leak that you and Lauren were going to have identical twins, right?
You did. You can always get the scoop out of me, yes.
So have you done any testing here to find out they're healthy babies?
They're healthy babies. They're getting fat. Thanks to my help, and everything looks good. Yeah.
Okay, and could you see anything on the picture? What kind of babies are we having, Shelley? Come on.
What do you mean, what kind of babies? They're humans.
Well, they're both the same since they're identical. Come on here, I'll give you a French fry if you tell me. What are we having?
Oh, Howard, we're having little boys.
Oh.
We're having 2 little boys.
2 little cowboys, and
yes.
You know, we sort of heard a rumor about that.
Oh my.
And I want your boys to be well versed in country music.
Oh my gosh. Little
with
guitars.
You and Lauren as their mamas.
Oh,
so
great.
we got you guys some beautiful guitars.
This is great. Now, I'm not sure if they'll write country music or show tunes, to be frank with you.
I think either is good.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited. We've known for a while that they're little boys, and we were keeping that private. But since you offered me French fries,
anything for French fries. Now we know what color to paint the nursery. When are we going to see these guys make their premiere?
Well, they are due in July 13th. But this particular type of twin are going to have to come a little bit early, so they'll be born in June.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thanks, Howard.
Don't forget to pick up Shelley's amazing book, Like Me. Watch her documentary, Wish Me Away. Thanks to all my guests, and thanks to Joy for letting me keep her seat warm. Good night.